Little did I know that 2 continents and an ocean away, Michel Berta was preparing himself for our Keenan-breathed Brazilian adventure. Here Michel is, learning the accordion from his older brother. Here's Michel in the French Navy, a submariner. He was wine steward and menu planner in addition to his nautical duties for the sub. The submariner guys would rather drink wine and beer than take showers. So, in the limited space, the shower stalls would be filled with cases of booze, and nobody could shower until they drank it all. Only the officers got martinis. Here's the sub surfacing near the North Pole. Michel is on the right, I think. It wasn't all fun, though. The submarine commander fell overboard and they spent weeks looking for his body. After the submariners, Michel went to Alaska where he taught at university and worked codifying the Aleut Indian language. Here he is entering a glacier. Now that was before, 40 years ago. Now the photographs are from our Keenan trip to Brazil to see how the Repentista singers have held up to the modern age. Here we are in Olinda near Recife, Brazil. Olinda is an ancient town, maybe 3 centuries old, fought over by the Dutch, the English, and the Portuguese. Somehow the streets and the buildings have withstood the modern age. All the beams and furniture are made of Brazilian ironwood and will last another 300 years. Olinda is an artist town, and Michel and I thought it would be a good place to start and begin looking for Repentista poet singers. Here's the typical Olinda street, the bluff-fronted houses and tiled roofs. Here's where the rich people lived in the old days. Now the musicians and artists have moved in. Remember Muriaqui Tan, the Brazilian Indian economics student turned rancher who sold me my mule. Here it is 40 years later. After I left the Peace Corps, Woody visited me in Ithaca, New York, and stayed with my parents and found a job with an old high school friend of mine. Woody learned English and returned to Brazil to work for Shell Oil. He built dozens of gas stations all over Brazil. Then he left Shell and became a town builder. He would find a likely spot in the Amazon jungle and survey it, and sell the land and put in electricity and build the houses. He became rich and poor and rich many times over. Along the way, he split up with his wife, Nadinha, and he never went back to her home in the desert town where he lived with her. Now we are going to go back together 40 years later, but tragically, Nadinha has died suddenly a month before our visit. Here's a renowned local Olinda artist. He knows all the Repentista poet singers, but said they are all down in São Paulo now, playing for the tourists and for the northeastern Brazilians who have moved to São Paulo to work in the factories. The Repentistas will come back for the holidays, he promises, and for Carnival, of course. Now we travel to the desert town where Muri and Nadinha and I lived. Remember the main street in the desert town where our cooperative was? Here's the main street of town now. The cooperative was where the bank is now. Muri and I got lost coming into town. We couldn't find any of the familiar roads and landmarks. All the roads are paved, all the houses have electricities with TVs and radios and washing machines, and all the horses have turned into motorcycles and cars. And all the ox carts and donkey carts are trucks now, and there aren't any pigs rooting in the streets or cattle stampeding down Main Street. There used to be 2 flea-bitten soldiers in town to keep order. Now there are platoons of soldiers running down Main Street. There's a new jail and lots of police with police cars and police trucks. In the last 40 years, Brazil has become big-shouldered and confident and rich. Everyone wears European and American clothes they see on TV and on their computers. Brazil feels like, to me, like America did in the late 50s, eager and ready to take over the world. Here's Michel and Muri in front of the old mansion where Muri and Nadinha lived. It used to be the biggest, grandest house in town, but now it's old and unpainted and surrounded by McMansions. Here's a bust of Senor Pires, Nadinha's father, Muri's father-in-law, the big rancher who used to command an army of 500 cowboys armed with American Winchester rifles, relics from our Indian wars. They kept the hordes of bandits out of our little town. Here's Michel at the end of a long day looking for repentista singer poets, exhausted, finishing a nice cold beer. This was the week of São João, the corn festival celebrating the new corn crop. Everybody got together on the square in front of the old church. Here are the young people impersonating the corn spirits. The girls are the corn silk, and the boys are the pollen. And if they dance together with pure hearts and spirits, there will be another corn harvest next year, because like produces like in the festival of São João. See the truck with many loudspeakers on top. They drive around town all day and night, booming out advertisements and political slogans and music, while everybody is out dancing until 5 in the morning, firing off their pistols and their fireworks. So Michel and Muri and I couldn't sleep a wink. And every time a pistol went off, the dog in the yard next door to our bedrooms commenced barking forever. And whenever the dog barked, this rooster in the yard next door crowed to greet the dawn for hours.